So I was a little bit wrong. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Solving Chaotix Case Files, where we are breaking down the episodes of the Chaotix Case Files podcast hosted by the Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel, and we give our own thoughts, theories, and processes, and maybe even come up with some suspects on who might have committed this crime. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you haven't checked out the first episode already, make sure you do so. I think I'll put it over here in this corner. Alright, let's dive in. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do this a little differently. We are going to go ahead and combine episode 2 and episode 3 of the Chaotix Case Files podcast, simply because I was late recording this video, so sorry, but better late than never, right? Alright, so just a quick recap. Basically, the Team Chaotix, consisting of Vector the Crocodile, SBO the Chameleon, and Charmy B, are investigating the stolen artifacts known as the astroscopic lenses. Now, we know that these astroscopic lenses are from one of the ancient civilizations from way back in ye old Sonic days. Knuckles the Echidna is a suspect, and so they tried to interrogate him, and it didn't go so well. We talked about in the first episode our theories on who we think the suspect is. My original theory was that it is Weknia, the clone copy character thing from the Knuckles Chaotix games, because that game is referenced multiple times. Spoiler alert, I don't think it was him, but I have some new suspects and I have some new theories that we can dive into. So let's go ahead and dive in. Alright, so the second episode basically picks up where the first one left off, where the Team Chaotix is going in to investigate another stolen artifact, this one stolen at a mansion. Now, once again, the gun agency is there. This is a little suspicious because they were at the previous one, so gun is definitely involved. As they begin to investigate, they learn that according to the lady in the mansion, Rouge the Bat is the one who stole this lens, and Rouge did not even say anything. She just up and looked at the lady, stole it, and flew away. Now, immediately this is suspicious both to us, the audience, and to Team Chaotix, because for starters, Rouge is not the kind of person to just walk up and steal it. She's a little more stealthy, a little more subtle, and so while investigating, they then find a green feather. Sonic Riders fans, if you hear of a green feather, you probably know who that is. Jet the Hawk from the Babylon Rogues. Man, when they were referencing Sonic Riders on this, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so basically, they have these suspects, Rouge the Bat and Jet the Hawk, with the Babylon Rogues, and so they go and talk to the Babylon Rogues. Okay, so they go to this and so they meet Jet and the Babylon Rogues, and they begin to question them, and then what do? They have a good old-fashioned race, because come on, it's the Babylon Rogues, you need to have a race. Let me just say real quick, I loved how they had the commentary and the fun engagement with Charmy B and Wave the Swallow, as well as Storm the Albatross. It was just very fun, very enjoyable, great listen. It's a quick listen too, kind of on the way to work, but Vector raced Jet, and then SBO snuck off to investigate some more, and ran into our friend Rouge the Bat. They even played the original sound while she was talking to SBO. It was very cool, the music that they played with it, very nostalgic. And then Rouge said, I didn't do it, but I can't prove it.
It is most assuredly not yours truly.
No? Can you prove that?
Just as convincingly as you can prove I did do it. Which is to say, not at all.
This, however, makes Rouge still kind of a suspect. I mean, we do know that Rouge has worked with Gun in the past. If you've ever seen the Sonic X TV show or read any of the comics or even play some of the games, you would know Rouge usually is associated with Gun in some way, shape, or form. But we'll see if it actually is her. Rouge then claims she's the one that planted the feather, and she used that in order to give them a red herring, in order to give herself time to investigate, which is hilarious. Then she proceeds to follow Team Chaotix and taunt SBO. Interesting. She probably was trying to see what they knew, and that's why she was sneaking into their little helicopter. Now, we immediately know that the Babylon Rogues were not the suspects because they really only want anything to do with things that are Babylonian related, and that is not what these astroscopic lenses are. So this was definitely a red herring, but it was pretty cool. We then pick up with Episode 3. Episode 3 kicks off with our Chaotix team going to Spiral Hill Mineral Museum. First thing right off the bat, I am loving that they immediately go into the comics reference. For those of you who don't know, Spiral Hill is a village that is referenced in the IDW comic book, so that was really cool. And then right away, we see that there's no gun. Great. So that is interesting. That means that, as it stands, the astroscopic lens is probably still here. Hooray. And then they see Mr. Kitsch again, who was in the first episode and is now here for this museum, claiming that he has to be in this museum because the other one is closed thanks to Gunn. So, naturally, the Chaotix team decides to devise a plan in order to catch the thief before they can get the third astroscopic lens. However, before they can start to make their plan, Tangle and Whisper show up. I thought this was the greatest thing that we get to hear Tangle and Whisper's voice actors for the first time. And man, let me tell you, they fit perfectly. I am loving all these comic book references and bringing them in. So it was just so great hearing them, and they just nailed it. And seeing them now in Sonic Crossworlds, it's just a good day to be a Sonic fan. So the team has now gone from 3 to 5. And so from there, Vector begins to lay it all out. He basically says that they're going to cover every entrance and set up a perimeter from the museum, and they'll catch the thief. And so that's what they start to do. We then learn that, according to Whisper, it's very likely that the thief is a former friend of Whisper, known as Mimic. Mimic is an octopus that had the ability to mimic other people. See what I did there? And their powers, and would often use that when they were with their group known as the Diamond Cutters. Unfortunately, he betrayed them, and actually resulted in the loss of a few of those members' lives, severely traumatizing Whisper. Again, the references to the comics, coolest thing ever. I'm really glad that they did this. And so, what they are trying to do is look for someone who can shape change. Everything seems to be going well at first, until Tails shows up and says hi to Tangle, and then proceeds to punch Tangle in the face. It's not Tails! That's right, and wonderful fun shenanigans ensue, and then it comes down to the wire. 2 Tangles, looking identical, and Whisper must choose which one to blast. We believe that Whisper chooses the right one, and attempts to blast at who we believe is Mimic. At the last second, we hear wings and a very soft voice swoop in and save Espio as well from getting blasted. The conflict and all arises, and when the dust settles, the astroscopic lens is gone. The museum curator is not very happy and proceeds to kick our team out, and then Gunn conveniently shows up and secures the perimeter. Now, our team is down 3 astroscopic lenses and not a lot of leads. So, who are our suspects? Okay, so obviously our first suspect is this Mimic individual. This makes sense. He has the ability to copy others' looks, voices, and abilities. However, if you've read these comics, we know that Mimic is not exactly known for being a mastermind. He's more so being a very self-serving, do what I want. When I've found the biggest guy, I make sure to back him up. We see this happen when he believes wholeheartedly that Eggman is the one who's going to win the war, and so he sides with Eggman in order to save his own butt. So, Mimic is probably the mercenary of this group. He is not the one pulling the strings. He's just doing his job. This could be Rouge, but I think what's probably happening is that Rouge is helping Gunn try to also solve this. And we don't think Gunn is the bad guys here. They're just kind of an obstacle getting in the way. So here's the question. Who does Mimic work for? Now, Mimic has worked for Dr. Eggman in the past, so one theory could be that Dr. Eggman is behind all this. In our first episode, I stated that I don't believe it is Dr. Eggman because last time Dr. Eggman worked with this kind of technology before in Sonic Unleashed, it didn't exactly work out well. The Doctor might be crazy, but he's not stupid. Well, if it is Dr. Eggman, it would make sense. Get Dr. Eggman to capture Vector and get Mimic to pose as Sonic the Hedgehog, have Vector reveal all of the secrets. That is a possibility, but I actually am not sure if that's the case. This is one theory. But here's my other theory. So while Dr. Eggman is a potential suspect, I think we are looking at for someone who is smart enough to know what these astroscopic lenses even are, much less how to weaponize them, someone who is resourceful enough to be connected with people like Mimic, someone who is clever enough to frame not just anybody, but Knuckles and Rouge, two people who are commonly known for working with treasure, to make sure to keep the Chaotix at kind of an arm's length to see how they can stay a step ahead of them. Hear me out. I think we're looking at Dr. Starline. I know that sounds weird. If you've read the Sonic IDW comic books, Dr. Starline got crushed by debris in issue 50. While that might be the case, need I remind you that if you've ever read a Sonic the Hedgehog comic book, I've actually read a lot of them. I own a lot of them, especially the Archie group. Actually, in fact, give me a second. This is just one of mine, but I have like 100 of these. I used to collect these as a kid. But if you've ever read the Sonic comic books, you would know that it is pretty common for there to be fake out deaths in these stories. Need I remind you that Surge had a fake out death in that exact same issue? I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out Dr. Starline, in some crazy way, shape, or form, teleported through the floor or whatever that might look like, and is now looking for revenge. And he is connected to Mimic, and so even though him and Mimic don't have the best relationship, I mean, that happened, Mimic and him probably could have came to some sort of agreement, and we might be looking at another comic book character coming to life. I'm really excited to see who that voice actor might be. I know this is kind of a weird theory, but seriously, hear me out. I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, we have two characters from the comics that are now not only in Sonic Crossworlds, but are in this podcast. I wouldn't put it past him. I also wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing this character in Sonic Crossworlds as a way to coordinate with it. It would be a pretty cool way to kick off the 35th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. So that's my theory. I think this is what we're looking at. I think this platypus is attempting to create some type of major weapon that could potentially destroy the world. I think what we're looking at is another creation. That's right, I think Dr. Starline is taking these astroscopic lenses and is attempting to amplify some type of weapon or some type of device. Hear me out. I think he's going to summon Dark Gaia. Why would he do that? Well, Dark Gaia is supposed to be sealed for 1,000 years, but we do know that these astroscopic lenses are designed for amplifying power. What if he is using these as some way to expedite the process of summoning Dark Gaia? This means we could once again see another crazy battle like from Sonic Unleashed. That's just kind of my theory. I'm curious what you guys think. Tell me your thoughts about Tangle and Whisper. I loved their voice actors. I could personally perfectly picture them when I heard their voices, and I could totally now hear their voices when I read these comics. Make sure to comment what you guys think, and hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave me a like. It really helps out the channel. I love talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. Be on the lookout for more Sonic the Hedgehog videos coming soon, and hey, if you want to know about those videos, hit that subscribe button or even that notification bell. Other than that, you guys are awesome. Hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, no job too big, no gig too small.